Welcome to Fall into the Vortex with Yoli, where we talk about all things love. Fall into the Vortex with Yoli. Fall into the Vortex.
Hey, y'all. Thank you so much for being here with us. I am super excited about tonight's episode because of who's with me. Ahkilhah Johnson, tell us who you are.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ahkilhah Johnson. I am a third year at Emory currently. I'm studying biological anthropology.
Wow. Biological anthropology. What is biological anthropology?
So it's basically trying to understand why humans are the way that they are. We study everything from like culture to linguistics, and then biological anthropology kind of mixes it all together. And so we call it physical anthropology. So we're the ones finding the things that you see in museums and like old finds.
Oh, listen, we're about to jump in, but before we jump in with this biological anthropologist, whom I love very deeply, I should tell you, I love her deeply. For those of you who may just be, may just be signing in or joining us for the first time, let me just tell you how this is gonna go. Ahkilhah has already shared with us who she is. I'm gonna ask her to share something creative or to talk about what she's working on. And then we're gonna go to Love from the Vortex and ask her to read one of the poems that touched her the most, talk about that. From there, everything is unscripted. Based on what Ahkilhah says, we're gonna see where it takes us. So on that note, Ahkilhah, what are you gonna share with us today?
Okay, so I have a poem that I wrote a while ago. Thank you for your enthusiasm.
I am enthusiastic when I'm in your presence.
You were like the best TT ever. It's called Getting My Life Right. Okay, and so I'll begin. I will write and I will write until the right words come to me. I will think and I will think until I am among the right company. And then when this all happens, I will be more free. I am telling my truth. I am seeing my truth. I am hearing my truth until what I want comes to me. My words, with all of their simplistic glory, are true, are beautiful, are ihsan through and through. I will not be infiltrated upon. My fortitude, my solidarity are one. I am not here to be impeded on, for simply, I'm not the one. I would rather be alone in my zone than sharing pseudo happiness, not at my fullest. I am the one to be a Messiah. I have seen this for the longest with my third eye. In this pivotal moment, I am free and at my peak, cutting all distractions as they attempt to make me weak. I will write, calling on the sacred that be I. I will write and I will write until the inspiration flows forth to carry me on my course. I will write and I will write until I see who is beneath. I will write and write and write until the sky is clear. I will write in the wee hours of the night. I will write until my mind is free. So, how you feeling about that one?
Wow. Yeah. I want to ask you how you're feeling about that one. Talk to us about that poem. I have so many questions. First, when did you write it? Why did you write it? What were you experiencing that this came out? And there were also some words that I heard in there that I didn't recognize. Or I heard Masai, but I think I heard Isan. So I wanted you to just say a little bit more. And before you do that, I just want to say how dope we both look in red. We did not plan this, folks.
It was not, it was the universe conspiring.
This is what happens when you fall into the vortex. But Ahkilhah, very seriously, that was beautiful. It touched me in many ways. But so take one or all of those questions in whatever order you would like.
Okay, so I wrote this poem many years ago. And the thing is, I didn't realize that I wrote it until I was preparing for this interview. So everyone that's tuning in, the first time that I read it to anyone was on the call with Yoli preparing for this call. And I feel like that's just what happens when you get into the vortex. Like things just come up, you're making art, you don't know where this inspiration is coming from. And I just wanted to thank you for it. And I wanted to thank you for having me on the show while I'm giving thanks. Like,
oh, you're welcome. Thank you for being here, Ahkilhah. Really. No, keep talking, please. And I mean, I think it's fascinating. And you're right, there's a time for everything. So it's like you wrote it a while ago, but it is perfect for this moment.
yes.
And that's what I find beautiful. But please say some more. What do you think, if you remember, were you going through at the time that you wrote that?
I think I was going through something that's very relatable to many people or many writers. It's this time in your life where like you don't feel like you're being productive with your writing. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't know if anybody's ever going to see it. You don't know if it means anything, if you're going crazy, like, but you just keep on writing because that's how you exist. So I don't know. I think I wrote that to read later, to reflect upon, and, you know, just kind of motivate myself to keep on writing. I remember I was hanging out with our good friend, Dr. Muhammad.
Ah, bestie.
Yes. And she told me, I told her, I can't write this essay. And she goes, why? You're a writer. And I didn't realize until then, like, that's really something that I identified with, you know, and the power that that has.
And naming yourself and walking into that, and in some ways writing yourself into your writer identity. I can relate to that so much. I didn't really call myself a poet, although I've been writing poetry for 30 plus years. I didn't really call myself a poet until I was asked back in 2018 from my college to write an inaugural poem for the new president. And this is something that was new for the college. Certainly it was new for me. And the only inaugural poems I knew about were the ones that Maya Angelou did for Clinton. And who was the one that did it for Barack Obama? It was also Maya. It was also Maya the first time. And so on the Pulse of the Morning, I just remember listening to that over and over and listening to her cadences. And I said, okay, well, if it's Siti Maya, then this is what an inaugural poem is. And not even realizing that I was reading that poem to about 1,200 or 1,300 people. I couldn't even take that in. Wow. I just got there in the moment and did it. And shortly after, I would say the next year, that's when I went to my diaries, my journals, when I had all of this information, not all this information, all of this experience I was having with some of the lovers, and, you know, Love from the Vortex came. But it had been there. Those poems had been there in my journals, many of them. I just had to excavate them.
Wow. It's almost like you're an anthropologist. You know, you're doing an archival of self, like going through all these things and layers of who you are and dating them and validating them.
And Keela, do you know that that's the theory that I'm working on? I'm working on a theory called the archaeology of the self.
So tell us more about it, please.
Oh, my love. Yeah. You know, I'm over here and I'm just so grateful because we do chat, you know, we text and we check in with each other, but like this is the first time that we're checking in this way. And I just want to say it's such a beautiful, beautiful experience for me.
I am loving every second that we're sharing. Like I'm living right now.
So let's go to the book, my love.
Oh, I wanted to answer 2 more questions.
Oh my gosh, of course, please.
Okay, so just very quickly.
Don't rush. Don't rush.
It's a popular Muslim boy name, but also it's this kind of like theory of just like striving for perfection, knowing that you will never achieve it. That should be the goal of a Muslim. It's just always striving to get better, this process of like renewal and just wanting to be perfect, but also understanding that the only thing that's perfect in this world is God.
Oh my goodness. Is that the word Ihsan? Is that the word I was asking about? And mentioning, talking about being a Muslim, can you talk about the impact of Islam on your life? And I think particularly as a student, I want to connect, we'll have all sorts of viewers, but for those of us who are out there, those of you who are out there who are in school, whether it be graduate school or undergraduate, what's the role of, in your case, being a Muslim, of Islam in your life as a student, particularly at a place, a white space like Emory University?
Yes. I think it really helps to ground me constantly, whether it be through, we have 5 prayers daily, or just understanding like this concept of ihsan and always striving for perfection and knowing like, okay, even if I get an A or an 80 or whatever I get, I can always do better. There's always more things that I can learn. I think that Islam really helps me with that. I think with being in a white space, it really helps me with understanding my positionality. So it makes me be kind to other people. Something that I just learned about Islam is that your adab, or like your manners, are a very important aspect of your faith. How people perceive how you treat them and how patient and understanding and loving you are to them is very important. So that's something that I learned. And I also learned that I think an important distinction of a Muslim is that we defend ourselves. So if there's an injustice to one person, it's like all of humankind has been impacted. And I feel like that's something that Islam has taught me.
Wow. Thank you for that. And I don't want to forget the second question that you were going to answer. You answered about Ihsan, and there was something else.
Yes, about being, let me just look at the term one more time.
Masai, is that what it is?
That's like somebody that sees things, somebody that is proficient in using their third eye, somebody that can see things. So.
And what do you wish to see?
I wish to see all things that are beautiful and abundant.
Wow, Ahkilhah. I got to tell you, as you're an undergraduate,
Yes.
I know for sure that I was not as grounded as you are at your age. I know that for sure. And I just want to give you, your parents who raised you, those in your circle, just the biggest shout out.
Wow.
Because you are a beautiful young woman. And when I talk about beauty, I'm not just talking about externally, I'm talking about your heart. And what the Vortex folks don't know is that it is because of you and Lumfube that the book is in print, because the 2 of you helped me to get all of the voice memos, the journals. You saw all of those journals I photocopied and scanned and sent to you, and my chicken scratch.
And I just want to say, every piece of it was a gift. Like every moment of it was just so healing and so transformative.
But you see what I mean? That humility, that love. I mean, you took this project on because I believe this is something I wanted to do. And you took it on. And I want to say for Loom too, but you took it on as though it were your own. And you worked so many hard hours. So I just want to say thank you, Ahkilhah. This is why I gave you that special shout out in the book. Thank you for all of the work, the hours of listening, the hours of typing, and then to turn around and consider it a gift. This is exactly what I mean.
And I just want to say thank you for including me. Thank you for inviting me and embracing me. Like, it was a moment. It really was. Thank you for it.
So you saw the book in all of its iterations. You saw it scratched up in my journals. You saw the poems in various forms. You heard them, because you know that sometimes my process is I would wake up and I would have to speak the poem because it was running so quickly in my brain. I didn't even have time to write it down. So you really heard and saw these poems in their rawest form. And having had I want to say maybe privilege, right, of seeing the different iterations.
Definitely.
Which poem, thank you for saying that, which poem will you share today and why? Because you, unlike other folks, again, have seen all of them
Yes.
in its rawest stages, and also understood some of the emotions behind it, because although we have a difference in age, your wisdom in many ways, you've counseled me as I have experienced things in the vortex. So I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you.
Thank you for appreciating me. There have just been so many revelations in this call alone. I'm so glad we're linking up like this finally. Like,
yeah, it's overdue.
Wow. I can't. I'm just like flushed with just gratitude. My new mantra is just like I'm embracing all of the love from the universe, and this call kind of just embodies it. But I was thinking about reading for everyone The Movement of Me.
Okay. I'm going to turn to the book, if that's okay. And for those of us, everyone knows I'm forever the teacher. So if you have your book, because I think you're reading from your phone,
Yes.
Kiki, The Movement of Me is on page 49 in the Salvador section.
So, The Movement of Me. I have changed. There is no possible way I can remain the same after sharing time and space with you. Never in my life's history have I experienced the meshing of worlds, the colliding of spirits, the depth of reaching into another's galaxy while reshaping the definition of my own. Realizing that making known this shift takes absolute grace and courage, all of which I have learned I have in abundance. There was an absolute beauty in my discomfort of having my mind occupied by a stranger who, in record-breaking time, has become more familiar to me than people I have known all my life. This field, this harvest of grain, I have discovered a place that continues to be life-giving, requiring that I pause to ask, Yolanda, exactly what have you learned? To this I respond, I have learned what it means to love. Another while knowing myself even more. I have learned to dissect experiences and to extract elements that cause me pain and unhappiness. I have learned to find my voice, speaking back to those who have silenced me with my own kindness. I have learned that I can walk with another, hold a hand, feel deeply and truly want for them the happiness and peace I want for myself, all while experiencing nothing in return, expecting nothing in return, except the promise of better and stronger me, a better and stronger them in a world less than perfect. I have learned that I am a good friend, one who with delight will pay forward the blessings she has received from these moments that cannot be easily described or found in a book, completely off the page, unscripted. I have learned desire. I have learned that I can interrupt myself and not be the person who shuts down, shuts off, and walks away when this is exactly what my heart tells me to do. Run, my heart says, leave. Take the lowest dosage of pain while it is still available. I have learned to listen to more than my heart, because at times the heart deceives. It lies because it has to. I have learned forgiveness. I have learned that a true friendship means there's support of self and the other, not always simultaneous, not always equally reciprocal, but always timely and present when needed. I have learned happiness. I have learned that I can be critical of myself. I have learned that it is okay to be passionate, intense even, to go into the deep spaces of my mind and publicly entertain chatter instead of holding it within. I have learned to exhale. I have learned that I can travel time, return from time, and recognize that I have gained much insight about the world I need to build for my survival. Turning inward, communicating with the libido at the worthy expense of the cognitive. I have learned to watch time stand still. Emotions rule when time is altered. I learned that firsthand. I have learned peace. I have learned that I am a farmer, that I enjoy the idea of tilling this land, of growth, of maturity for seasons to come. Even when storms hit and crops are threatened, I will harvest. I will tend to the land of me, because I have learned that I am worth. You wrote that.
And you read that. I wrote it, but you read it, and you read it beautifully. Why the movement of me, my love? Why that poem of all of them?
It is so descriptive of the place that so many of your readers are at. Like, I read it to my mom, and she was like, Yoli is younger than me. How does she understand how this feels?
Wow.
And I said, I mean, she relates to TT Goldie, and she's younger than her, and I relate, and I'm like, it's a very universal feeling, this kind of like feeling of transition and change. So.
I just wanted to hear you read more, and the way that you added your flavor to it, your voice. Talk to me about your movement. What movements have you experienced?
Well, according to my therapist, I'm just kidding.
Yay for therapy. Yay
Right.
for therapy.
Shout out to my mom. Shout out to Jeannie Plummer.
Your mom is amazing.
Right. Shout out to all the TTs around the world, all the ghetto prisoners. Okay, I'm done. But oh, what was I saying? Oh, what?
Movement. We're talking about your movement.
Yes, my movement. So I don't know. I feel, according to all of these people, I am moving into young adulthood for real this time. Like my 20s. So I'm discovering so many things, like my tolerance for different things, what social movements I align with, what I want to do with my life, how I feel about things.
Yeah.
So many things.
No, now is actually the beautiful time for that. And you're at such a special time in your life, Ahkilhah, at this particular moment in history too. Mm-hmm. And to be a conscious Black woman rooted in your faith will just allow you to go so far. And the circle of women that you have around you. And it's really important, as I'm listening to you, and I feel encouraged that you recognize that you have to have powerful women around you, from your mother to TT Goldie to me, and we're there for you. And we are there to hopefully be worthy witnesses of your blossoming and your flourishing. But it's an exciting time to set on the path of self-discovery at this time.
It's a wonderful time to be alive, and it's a wonderful time to be a gift. I just wanted to say that. Like, you are a gift. I am a gift. This book was a gift. Like, and also I wanted to say that the book was about love, but it also taught me a lot about female friendship and woman friendship. And being kind to other women and just how that replenishes you within like your soul and just all of your activities, just friendship with others.
Oh
So
my
talk
gosh.
about that. I have a lot of room for development in that area, so I feel like it helped a lot.
Um, Kiki, thank you so much. I first of all, I can't believe that this is coming to the end of our time. Didn't it feel like 5 minutes?
What?
I know, believe it or not, we've been talking for about 30 minutes.
Wow.
And as we come to the last segment, because the show is usually 30, 35 minutes, as we come to the last segment, I always want each guest on Fall into the Vortex with Yoli to think about some advice or wisdom they would like to share with the listeners. Or it could be anything at all that's in your heart right now, that you are on your mind that you want to share. What's most important is that you just take the last word. And that last word could be something else that you want to read or share, but it's really mostly a time for us to, you know, just have this ritual, this closing ritual, as Dr. Angel Acosta would say, of closing out our time together, you, me, and those who are listening to this episode. What is it that you would like to share?
Some advice that I would like to share is never delete your drafts, never throw away any drafts of your artwork. My late grandmother told me that, and I try to hang on to it. I have like a giant file cabinet just filled with all of my artwork. And I feel like this is important because it helps us to reflect on who we are and our personal growth. And like you were talking about, shout out to what archival of self or archaeology of self.
Oh, yeah, archaeology of the self.
These are your artifacts of your growth and development. And so I think that they're really important and you should save them.
Do you have any of your art nearby by any chance? Anything that you can put your hands on?
So crazy you would ask. Just give me 1 second.
Absolutely. So as Ahkilhah goes to look for that, I want to reflect on what she said in terms of keeping all of your drafts, because many of the poems in this book, as I mentioned, this book was writing itself. And so many of the poems, particularly in the section for Joseph, are about 15 years old. The section for Ian are about maybe 10 years old. And as I mentioned with Ahkilhah, welcome back, Lovey. As I mentioned when we were talking, that I literally photocopied my journals, and those journals were 10 and 15 years old. And Ahkilhah had to type around the scratch outs, the scribbles, but I kept everything, and I kept it in that emotion that poured out of me at that time. So anyway, thank you for going to grab some art. Share some of your beautiful art with us.
Okay, so I'm going to provide some context. I painted this on top of my scratch for a study guide that I was making for my political science class.
Okay.
So kind of painted a flower, and the top says
anarchy. Oh my goodness.
And I don't know, it has some layers to it.
Kiki, you are good.
Thank you. Oh, you're being such a TT right now. You're like, you're amazing, sweetie. I'm like,
you are. And you know what? I'm just thinking that in our WhatsApp, you have shared other pieces with me. I don't think I realized that that was your art.
Yes. And I also share a lot of other people's artwork. You know, I'm inspired by many.
I'm inspired by you. How about that?
By you.
Oh my goodness. Kiki, thank you so much for spending time with me. Thank you for falling into the vortex. And I want to thank all of you who spent these moments with me and Ahkilhah Johnson. Wish her well as she continues her undergraduate journey and goes on to her graduate journey, and just continues to impact the world with her beauty and her grace and her wisdom. I love you.
I love you too. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, my dear. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Peace.